I think we should not teach finance in school.
Okay.
I do not think, I think for every parent out there talking about how the schools are failing the children because they're not teaching money and finance in school,
Right.
I'm telling you that is just a toxic mindset as a parent. Take the ownership yourself and teach your own kids about how you think about money.
We're excited to be with you guys this week. We've got a viral sensation TikTok video that Brandon's all geared up for. And I just want to hear Brandon rant for a while and then bring up other points.
You said it was a news article. This is a TikTok video we're talking about?
Did you not listen to the article? It says that it went viral on TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
Everything happens on TikTok, Brandon. Come on, dude. So anyway, so there's this article from Business Insider, also went viral on TikTok, about a teacher who has made up a simulated economy in her classroom. What she does is she basically uses fake Monopoly money and charges kids rent for their desks.
Let me jump in real quick and just say,
you're killing me.
This is fine. You can introduce what she does in a second, but let's talk about how this came about. I have had, I can't count how many conversations, and I can also tell you that I've heard conversations, I've read stuff online. Lately, it's just like, I don't know if it's just algorithms throwing this my way, but what I am seeing time and time again are parents saying there is no roadmap that exists to teach our children about money, wealth, legacy, heritage. How do we get our values as parents to our children, or as grandparents to our grandchildren? These are all questions I've been talking about. It's been relentless. And it came to one conversation that was like two pretty, creative guys, influential guys that were talking about this. And they were just talking about how the schools are failing children.
Okay.
And that just made me angry because you can't teach this stuff in school. It has to be taught in the home. And then you said,
then I said,
there's an article which happens to be a TikTok. So now you go ahead and tell how this teacher has set up this this educational experience.
Well, I will. Thanks for passing the torch off there, Brandon. I appreciate it. I'll indulge. So she has like Monopoly fake money that she gives to all the kids, and she charges them rent, and they rent their desks and their chairs, but they can also earn money by doing chores around the classroom, getting good grades. She'll reward for all these different things. And even if if you make more money by doing chores or good grades, she even gives you like passes on homework. So you can spend your money to not do homework. Let me just see if there's anything else that I'm thinking of here that's different. It's aimed to teach financial responsibility, and she just wants the kids to learn about that things cost, and in this world you can get rewarded for hard work, and money is a tool to help you succeed in life. And then Brandon jumped in here and said, you think that this is the worst idea you've ever heard of?
Okay.
Not the shake weight, but this.
So first of all,
let's do it.
I'm
so ready.
Let's step back and acknowledge the teacher's efforts here.
Yes.
But I want to get to the point of letting everybody know this is why I think we should not teach finance in school.
Okay.
I do not think, I think for every parent out there talking about how the schools are failing the children because they're not teaching money and finance in school.
Right.
I'm telling you that is just a toxic mindset as a parent. Take the ownership yourself and teach your own kids about how you think about money.
All right.
All right.
So now Brandon's taking the proactive view.
So with that being said, the problem is parents don't have a roadmap for how to teach their children about money. They are probably feeling pretty lost and confused about money. They
Sure.
definitely don't typically own their finances,
It's true.
right? So they want to pass off that responsibility. They want to blame someone else because they don't think that they can do it themselves. So if we're just at least let's
I
level
think
set and
that's a good
create some
point.
honest conversations here, right?
Yeah,
I
I think that's a good point because, if we start in a position where like people as a whole are very poor at handling money, um, they don't know where they are themselves. So, passing the buck isn't always the best thing.
and with that being said, like not only that, but how many of our own biases do we have? How many like lies do we believe about money? How many like toxic experiences and terrible failures have we had as people, as parents generally,
Yeah,
um, where we don't even feel qualified to teach about money, right?
that's
So,
true.
so first of all, thank God for teachers,
Yes.
right? Let's just be clear, and thank God particularly that this lady is taking a huge uh like she's being very ambitious and trying to do something different, and I commend that.
Very
Um,
creative, I think.
but I do want to go in. I Does it say what grade this is that she's doing this?
Third graders.
Third graders. Okay. At what age do we start teaching kids about money? Like we start teaching kids very, very young, and we teach them age appropriate things as they kind of go through life. And by the time a kid is a teenager, uh, I would I would go as far to say they should understand how their parents make money. I think they should understand their parents' role or job that they own. I think that they should understand the family budget and be invited in to help make some decisions on the family budget. So how do we get them there if by the time my kid is like 14, 15 years old, they're starting to make decisions about the family budget and understanding where the family money sits and how it sits and where it sits and what it's doing and how it's working for us. We have to kind of backwards plan into that. All right.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to say is what do I want to teach my kids first? A couple things I don't want. And this would be my kind of warning for parents here. I
Mhm.
don't want my kids thinking they need to trade their time for income.
Okay.
I want them to start immediately, as young as possible, to start thinking that how do I trade value? How can I create value and
Yeah.
then give away that value for for money or for something in exchange?
So let me give
Create
you
value.
yeah, let me give you an example of what my mother did because I don't have children. Um, and then I want to hear what you think about it. And because to me, hearing you say that it lines up perfectly with this. But remember distinctly when I was, 5 or 6 years old, or maybe a little bit older than that. I wanted like I remember to this day, we went to the Disney store and I wanted one of those basketball hoops that glow in the dark and they hang on the back of your door
Mhm.
so that I could turn my room into a basketball court because basketball was everything to me when I was growing up. And she said, "Well, we can't buy it today, but if we go home today and you do some chores, we can come back and get it tomorrow." Right. So I went home and I remember dusting the stairs. I remember sweeping the floor. I remember cleaning up my room, collecting my laundry, stuff that a little kid could do. Like I
Mhm.
wasn't on the roof, replacing shingles or anything, but I was, dusting things and cleaning things up. And then I got the basketball hoop and I freaking love that thing. And the impression that it made on me, I mean, I'm 31 years old and I still think about that. And I've kind of archived that if there is a day where I do have children, that's how, I think that was a very positive experience for me. So what do you think like that? Do you think
Okay.
that's a good
So
way to
let's
trade
just break this
value
down. And
instead of
this is what I
currency?
also want to offer to that teacher. I believe in my heart that my child should not earn money for doing what they are supposed to do because
Okay.
I do not earn money for doing what I am supposed to do, right?
Okay.
Nobody pays me an allowance for putting food on the table for my daughter. Nobody pays me an allowance for making my bed. right? These are just things that I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So if we're trying to teach our kids about money, why do I pay them for things they are supposed to do? That doesn't challenge them to try to start learning how at a young age to create value, right? If I just say go clean, there's that this is kind of like level 1 of teaching kids about money. Go do this task and I'll give you money. Do what you're supposed to do, I'll give you money. Go work and I'll give you money.
Yeah.
That is because that's how so many people think about real life. If I go to work, I'll get money.
Yeah.
But what if we could go at a very young age, like 3 or 4 years old, and start saying to our children, instead of go make your bed or clean your room and you'll get an allowance, what if we say, what can you offer me that nobody else in this household, family, or world can offer me that I would be willing to exchange money for?
Mm.
Let a 5-year-old boy just start, let a 5-year-old girl start just dreaming of ways to create something for you,
Yeah.
right? If I ask my daughter at a very young age, it might be something wildly silly. She's
Yeah.
like, "Dad, well, how about for $5, I throw you a tea party?" Cool. Give me that experience. Give me that experience. And if it's worth it, I'll give you $5 for it. What if, and that can evolve, that starts creating this mindset that something inside of me is worth something. And if I can learn how to generate ideas and generate value, people will exchange something they value for something I can create.
Sure.
Right. So now instead of being task or time bound, we're starting to be idea generators from a young age. And to that point now, my daughter, who is 15, almost 16 years old,
Yes.
has created many ideas around the house that are actually extremely impactful and extremely helpful. Dad, I need money. Well, I'm not giving you money.
Yeah.
Well, can I, do some chores? No, you can't do some chores because we all do chores in this family. We work. We
Right.
work around this house and we belong and we earn our spots,
Sure.
right? So how do I make money? I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you make money? Well, how
Yeah.
about how about I edit your podcast? Now that's valuable
Yeah.
because she's really good with the audio stuff.
Yeah, let me jump in here because I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying. Um, we have to start somewhere with our children at some point in time at a level that each child or most children can grasp. And if we're in a place of society today where, I don't know, 48% of Americans don't have enough, don't have $1,000 in cash for emergency or whatever. We had a podcast about those numbers at one point. They're alarming, like how unprepared people are. Then yes, it may be perfect to start like, hey, there are some things that you're supposed to do in life that no one will ever pay you for. So you got to start thinking out of the box. That's a good concept, but you also have to start somewhere.
What I'm saying is,
Okay.
why do you think she started there?
I
Like,
think kids
do you
like play money and they like objects and they need
you
to
see?
learn
But
how
you
to
just said that
exchange things.
you said that a third grader doesn't know what money is. I
Right.
disagree
But
with
they
that. I
like,
think kids absolutely know what money is.
okay.
Um, right? Like you wanted a basketball and you goal and you couldn't afford it. You
Well,
knew what money was,
yeah, but I
right?
knew,
Your
but,
instinct was to ask your mother for money. She said you got to work for it. You got to earn it.
right. And what I learned there is an exchange of things. I have to give something up and I have to go create value or do something for somebody else in order to obtain that. Taught to me in that.
But
Like, I
you're
don't,
but you
I can't
you're
tell
not
you,
creating
I can't tell
value.
you what that basketball hoop was worth. I don't know what she paid for it.
Sure, but you have to understand what I'm saying is you did nothing to create value. You just did the task that needed to be done that your family needed.
I disagree because my mother didn't have to do those tasks. So she paid me so that she didn't have to dust the stairs and sweep the floors.
Yeah, but shame on you for thinking your mother should have to do those things. Those are things you should have to do, not you. You didn't create value. You just kept her from doing what you were supposed to do.
When I got old enough to mow the lawn, I was able to, my father said I would have to pay somebody $60 every time to mow my lawn, but you're willing to do it for 20. I will pay you to mow the lawn. I created value. He didn't have to
You
spend
didn't
an hour
create
and a
value.
half to
You
do
you
it.
sacrificed time. You
Right,
didn't
but it's
create value.
value. It's value to him because it saves him time, and that's
Right.
valuable to
But
him
what is that
and effort.
teaching you? It's to think task in hours, right? I can trade my hours to accomplish something that somebody doesn't want to do instead of
Sure.
creating and generating new ideas. Hey, dad, how about I do this? How about I do this and I do this? And then all of that generates something that then we could just pay somebody else. So now you and your dad could be fishing instead of your dad fishing and you mowing the yard. The whole idea of being caught in the rat race is like in many, many studies, when you talk about rat races and all these kind of things, like the once you teach a rat something, it will teach all the other rats the same thing,
Okay.
right? You can change behaviors of mice in studies by just teaching one of them and putting that learned mice inside of the ecosystem, and it will eventually teach all the other mice, all the other rats to do the same thing.
Okay.
All I'm saying is I think that there is something here to say, let's break that cycle and stop teaching our kids. One, if you're doing what you should be doing for the family, that is not value creation. If all you're doing is if your value is, well, mom or dad didn't have to do what I took care of. Like I made a mess in my room, and if I wouldn't have cleaned it up, my mom would have cleaned up my mess. That's not creating value, right? On the flip side of that, like you can go above and beyond, but one thing that I want to make sure of is being very clear here that I don't think a child should be taught again that hours or specific task earn money, right? It's
Yes.
just like let's start. All I'm saying is at a young age, start teaching children to think about ways they can create value in exchange what they create. Like one thing I tell my daughter all the time, like I don't care how long it takes you to get a job done. If you get
Sure.
the job done and it's done well, or if you create something and it's worth it, I'm going to give you money.
Yes. But here's the nuance of all this is value is a completely subjective thing. So you offered your daughter in this case to because she had skills to edit this podcast, you
No,
offered her
I
money.
didn't offer her. She made an offer,
Okay.
which
And it doesn't really matter. You found it valuable.
mhm,
Yeah, you found it valuable. So
absolutely.
value is completely subjective. So who's to say, you may think that there is a certain level of production a child should do in the home to like just these are things that we as a household do, you need to do them. And I don't disagree with that. I completely agree with that. But if you're going to teach value, you have to teach your kids what people value. And that can be a very subjective thing. And so yes, you're right. I could have gone to my dad and said, "Hey, will you pay me to mow the lawn?" And he could have said, "No, I'd rather go fishing with you because that's more valuable." Or he can say, "Bill, yeah, I don't have time and I'm paying these guys like 3 times as much as I could pay you. That's actually insanely valuable to me. I don't have to worry about it. I know you'll do a good job. Our lawn looks better. Yeah, get it done." That's value. Whether you think it's the status quo or not is completely subjective as well. Some people give their kids allowances for not doing anything, which I think you and I would both agree is ludicrous, right?
I think the point that
So
I'm trying to make is that if I just tell my if there is a chore to be done, right? If I just tell if the child just starts saying, "Hey, I need to do the bare minimum to get by and I need to trade my," if we're teaching that in the home, why should we ever expect our children to grow up and not just seek hourly employment? I'm going to show up and I'm going to trade my time to accomplish tasks that I'm being handed, and I'm never going to try to get past or escape that rat race.
I'm not disagreeing with you that we should teach kids that. I think absolutely that's 100% necessary.
But you
But
can't just
what I'm
say it.
saying, is it's okay to start where Shelby is starting
I
because
disagree.
they're
I think
they're
it
gonna
would be
get that down the road.
no, I disagree wholly because it's those early teachings that are the roots.
This
Those are
is
the
awesome.
seeds that are so deep inside of us, right? So we should actually start on the creative side, because if we start on the task and the like just conditional exchange,
Okay.
the typical things that, and I'll tell you this, like I would imagine that Shelby is teaching this is because she, and this is part of the whole point. This is one of the big points here. Shelby's teaching this because this is what she knows about money.
Okay.
I don't want Shelby teaching this to my daughter because what I know about money is very, very different.
Okay. But
I,
what if
I
you know nothing about money and
That's
Shelby,
what I'm
for the
saying.
most part, is good?
She's doing a good job, but no, what
Yeah.
we need to do is we need to start creating roadmaps, and we need to start teaching how to teach children and how to teach our grandchildren, not just about money, but about wealth, about vision, about values, and about all these other things that can ultimately lead to a wealthy and like creating wealth, being wealthy, and then
Yeah.
also like legacy extending on past just our livelihood. Before we get to third grade and we start realizing, hey, if I sharpen all the pencils in the pencil jar, I can get 5 Monopoly dollars. Right.
Hmm.
Before we ever get there, we need to start teaching our children that they have ideas, and if they present them, somebody will find value in that, and it's on their terms that now they're doing work. So one
Yeah.
thing that I would encourage, and I don't know, maybe this does exist in Shelby's economy, right?
Yeah.
Her classroom economy, maybe she does say, look, if you have a good idea that thinks would be valuable for this classroom, you can make an offer. You can
Yeah.
come to me and say, hey, Miss Shelby, I have an idea, and this is my idea, and I would like to do this for 100 Monopoly dollars.
Yeah.
And Miss Shelby can say, I think that's a great idea. That's super valuable. Give me, here's $100. Or she could say, that's a terrible idea. I don't like that. And it's useless.
Yeah.
But we're starting to condition kids to believe that their ideas are worth putting out into the world.
Yeah.
Because if my daughter comes to me with an idea and it's like, Dad, what if I do this? Would you pay me $100?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Or no, I wouldn't.
Sure.
Right? But I'd never say that's a terrible idea. Like I want to encourage and massage that muscle, because now my daughter's in high school and she's working on like a third business idea,
Yeah.
right? She's an entrepreneur at 15 years old, something I never had.
Which is
And
incredible.
so that's what I want to say. And one other thing for the classroom economy idea is, how about making seats and desks for sale? Right? Instead of charging rent, how about letting me work and save some money so I can buy my seat so I don't have to pay rent anymore?
Yeah.
What if I could buy
Or
my what if I could buy the kid across from his desk that,
charge him rent.
and charge him rent? Right?
What if
I could
this
start
third
growing
grade
some real estate. I think
this
what
third
Shelby's
grade
doing is
classroom just has like a real estate conglomerate and all the kids are paying him rent instead of the teacher? That'd be
it
so
walks in a
great.
suit and business tie, and um I think that
Oh,
I think what she's creating
that'd be so great.
is the shell of something that can be incredible.
Yeah. And I
My
think
cautionary tale here, my cautionary thing is, parents, be careful what you wish for, because I think that especially like parents that work with me, I'm helping them develop this roadmap. I don't teach them what to teach their children. I don't teach
sure.
them the values they need to teach their children. I ask them, what values do they want to teach? How do they want, like, what do they want to teach? Let's create a roadmap. Let me teach you how to teach them. Because the
Yeah.
same way I teach, the same way you teach people about money, we can also teach them how to teach, and then they can teach their children, their grandchildren, the things they need and want to teach them. But I would
Yeah.
just be cautionary. I'd be super, super cautionary when we start teaching our children about money, or when we're relying on a teacher to teach our children about money. We're also inviting in all their biases, all
Hmm.
the lies they believe about money, all of their personal experiences with money, all of the
Yeah.
experiences they have from their children and watching their parents about money, all the things like in the core of their DNA that they have in their beliefs about money and wealth and finance.
Yeah.
That's what they're spilling over to our
So,
children.
so yes, and so to expand on that idea, and then we probably got to wrap it up here soon. But to expand on that idea of delegating the teaching to the teaching your kids to the teacher and inviting in all their biases and their beliefs about money and more than likely lies, or we talked about that last week on misperceptions of personal finance in the industry. But what so for action steps for parents out there, how do they determine whether the teacher's biases or what they believe about money is potentially better than what they know about money? Because
Yeah.
the parents could think that credit cards are the best thing in the entire world. The teacher says, no, they're not that great, and here's why. Then in that instance, for that specific topic, as financial professionals looking from the outside in, we would say absolutely delegate that to the teacher. Like that's definitely the way to go.
No,
Or
I would never say that. Don't
what
bring me
we
into your.
deem as textbook things. But I think if parents are going to change and going to get better, they have to reflect on what they know, and they have to figure out in Shelby's case, like, do I think I handle, is what she, and we don't know obviously exactly what she's teaching in that class, but is what she's teaching inherently good or bad? And then start from there. But you have to have a process of self-reflection to figure out, you know, how do we determine who's got the better ideas?
So to do like task list, how do we do this? First and foremost, I absolutely um, agree that it starts with learning this stuff ourselves. Okay, as parents, I think we have to understand there is no, not as parents, as people, there's nothing like definitive about money. It is an art and a science, and they collide in this magical way where something that it can be very true for you, Bill, and it could be very false for me,
Sure.
right? What we have to start understanding is everything that we believe to be true might be true, might not be true, might be true sometimes, might not be true sometimes, might be true for me and not for you, might be true in my experience or in my environment right now, but not later.
Hmm.
There's a lot of questioning that has to occur, and we have to learn how to ask those questions. But if we're going to start asking questions about everything, identity, knowing our values becomes super important, because ultimately what we're trying to do is understand who we are and
Hmm.
then understand where we ultimately want to be, goal creation,
Hmm.
and build that roadmap to get from where we are today, who we are today, to where we want to be and who we want to be.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really deep. But what we have to start as parents, I have to start by knowing, right? Like I have a belief about money, and it's not based in like which credit card's the best or which bank account, or do I do real estate, crypto, or US equities. Like it's not about that. What it's really about are, these are my values, this is my identity, and this is what I want my child to have. I want them to have this identity. I want them to have these family values that I've cultivated, and I need to find a way to transfer that. Because if my kid fundamentally embraces this idea that I'm like a man or woman of integrity, I'm honest, I work hard, I deliver value, I show up, I follow through. If they start, then it doesn't matter if they want crypto or a stock of Apple. Like it doesn't matter at that point, because they're going to make the best decisions for them. And
Sure.
that's why I think at the end of the day, it's always going to be better for parents to teach their children about money, because than a teacher. Not because teachers can't, but I want my child to have my values. I don't want my child to have the values of her teacher, per se. Not that her teacher's bad or worse or less. There's gonna be nuance. There's gonna be difference there. And I want my child to have my values.
So I think that's great. I'm just going to argue that I think there's a balance to everything, and even as parents, we might think that we have, a certain subject totally figured out, but you always need to be challenging your own ideas. And so if you think that, if you are a parent of the kid in Shelby's class and you may think you have finances all figured out. Well, maybe talk to Shelby about it and like, what are your ideas? And then go to somebody who totally disagrees with Shelby, and then go to somebody who, thinks both are good ideas. Like you got to expand your brain because you could be wrong about something. And teaching values is one thing. That's great. And yes, that absolutely should start in the home. I believe that wholeheartedly. But you also, when you get away from values and start talking specifics and, optimizing things and more, specialties of subjects, you can always be wrong. So if you're a parent and you inherently go, I don't know too much about personal finance, start the journey of getting differing opinions and start to form your own opinion from books you read and people you hear. If you think you know a ton about money, like I think I know more than the average person about money as a financial advisor. And and I know you do as a CFP, we constantly read books. We constantly listen to other people that don't share our opinions because we want to test our own opinions and our own things. So just know, if you're listening out there, you're a parent, I would say, keep on the journey of being curious. We talk about all the time on this podcast about being curious. I just say, keep being curious and keep challenging your own opinions. And within that, that is a value that you can pass down to your kids within itself.
And I think there's a value in just understanding too that we're constantly in a learning space, and through that we're going to be wrong. Like my
Yeah.
daughter can absolutely embrace the fact that dad's been wrong, and it's
Hmm.
okay to be wrong. And
Yeah.
part of any journey is having a misstep or being wrong, and it's okay. It doesn't derail anything. You're not a failure through that.
Yeah.
I
I
think I
love it.
think what Shelby's doing is so close to incredible.
Yeah.
I
Good
would
on you,
if
Shelby.
she yeah,
We need more Shelbys
if
in the world.
she does listen to this episode,
I was
I
just
want
going to
her.
say that.
I want her to have all the kudos. I want her to know that she can reach out and call me,
Oh,
and
dude, we
we'd
should have
even
her on the
help.
podcast. What if we could
We
get her
that'd be
on the
awesome.
podcast? That'd be so
I
great.
think I think what the one thing that I would say though is incorporate into the teaching ways that kids can bring to you ideas to make money,
Yeah.
and say yes, massage that muscle, right?
Mhm.
Make them work. Be like, oh, you're close, but think a little bit harder and come back to me, right?
And if
How
she's
about
already doing that, reach out to us because we want to be called out and we want to
yeah,
talk to
because
Shelby.
that could be that. I mean, that's what I want my daughter to be learning is
Yeah.
her time is valuable and precious, but it's also priceless. I
Yeah.
want my daughter to, if she ever gets asked to work for an hour or two, I want her to think, man, I got to charge $10,000 an hour, right? Don't ever, I want it almost to be off the table that my daughter will trade her time for money.
Okay.
And especially when somebody asks for it. If
Mhm.
she's willing to give it, she can assign value to her time the way that she wants. It's on her terms,
Sure.
right? But I want it to be inside her head. How can I create something that is valuable that can be replicated down the road without requiring more time necessarily?
Yeah.
Right.
It's good, man.
So I think those are the things that I really want my daughter to have. I don't think that parents should be eager to blame the schools for failing to teach finance. I think if you're a parent and you're saying, oh, the school should be teaching this, own it, bring it into the house, teach your children. If you don't know how to teach your children, reach out to us and learn about it yourself, and let us help you learn to teach your children about money, because I think that's super powerful. I think at the end of the day, um, don't be lazy parents. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to be a lazy parent. Stop blaming the schools for not teaching. Take the ownership, and we can teach our kids some incredible things about money that we never learned until much later in life if we start
Yep.
taking ownership of that.
Love it, dude. I think we end there. I think
Cool.
that's a good place to wrap up. Guys, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where you get your podcasts from. We are everywhere, really trying to grow this channel. Shelby, if you're listening, we love you. We want to talk to you.
Yeah.
If you need to reach out to Brandon or I, our emails are on harpethwealthpartners.com. We'd love to any comments in the bottom that want questions answered too. We're trying to get enough to get an episode going on that. So much love to everybody out there, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, guys. We hope you learned something valuable today. We appreciate you including us in your journey towards financial betterment. It is important to us that you know this is for educational purposes only and not to be considered specific advice for any individual listener. If something we discussed is relevant to you, and you have questions about how it might be uniquely applicable to you, please discuss that with a financial professional, or, of course, we are happy to have further conversations with you about your specific questions, needs, or circumstances. We welcome you to reach out to us via our website, harpethwealthpartners.com, or by emailing Brandon at bmc@harpethwealthpartners.com. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice is offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Harpeth Wealth Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not to be intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult appropriate qualified professionals prior to making a decision. Investing includes risk, including fluctuating prices and loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Hypothetical examples presented are not representative of any specific investments. Your results may vary. We want to thank you for your time, and we look forward to having you back next week.